My name is Jeremy Townsend. I'm the business manager of the clinical research facility in Dublin, Ireland, funded by the Wellcome Trust and the Health Research Board. So the session today was focused on advanced therapies and, importantly, the commercial aspects of advanced therapies. So you've probably heard elsewhere in the conference about the importance of advanced therapies, which are cell therapies or gene therapies for the treatment of diseases, and they're a very sort of fast-growing area of promise in terms of curing certain diseases, particularly at the moment, blood cancers and solid tumor cancers. So they're coming down the track. There's a large volume of these clinical trials being presented to us to adopt as a network. And I guess one of the challenges is how do we, as a group, how do we charge pharmaceutical companies or life sciences companies to use our facilities to deploy those trials in a healthcare setting? So clinical advanced therapy trials are very different from traditional clinical trials. And I guess the session was about teasing out how they're different and how that difference sort of kicks into how we think about the costs of those clinical trials. Yeah, there's many differences. So one difference is, in many cases, you're using human tissue cells from patients to actually be processed and then reintroduced to the patient as part of their therapy. So along with that is all sorts of added activities that have costs associated with sort of taking cells from patients, looking after those cells, transporting those cells to other places for manipulations and so forth. And then another sort of complicating thing is many times those cells are combined with genetically modified organisms. So then we have another problem of being very careful with those GMOs, as they're called, and making sure that they don't, escape into the atmosphere and into the environment generally, or cross-contaminate other patients in the hospital. The UK government and other governments around the world are introducing regulations and guidelines about how these types of therapies get deployed in healthcare settings. So we have to pay attention to those and comply with those. And there's a cost, in terms of maybe equipment, training people to behave properly in those environments, and also the paperwork involved with some of that stuff. So that's one aspect, and then the actual process of taking cells from patients or live cells from patients, looking after them properly, making sure they don't get cross-contaminated, and taking them all the way, say, somewhere like Belgium to get manipulated, and then getting them returned back. Also, we have to be confident ourselves that many of those products are frozen. So we have to make sure that all through their journey, they don't become defrosted. So that's a logistical challenge that needs a lot of attention. Yeah, so the big overriding business thing is that, we're a public service, and we have to give sort of value for money back to the taxpayer. So we've also got to make sure that we're not, I don't think we are. We've got to make sure we present a fair cost to industry so that they're not, absorbing NHS resources for commercial, for their commercial interests. So we just have to very accurately and be very transparently lay out to industry what the costs of deploying these advanced therapies are in a hospital setting or a clinical research facility setting. I think researchers probably underestimate the costs because they're very, if it's an academic type therapy, they're very ambitious for that therapy to get into the clinic and be tested. And I guess people on the sort of business side might be saying, well, hold on a minute, you do realize it's going to cost X, Y, and Z, and all those sort of things. And we try as much as we can to be very understanding about that and value academic activity. But regardless of how much they pay for it, we still have to let them know how much the true cost is, so they have an awareness of that. Yeah, I think it's very much what we spoke about today. So we had two people, Bea Duran from Manchester, she's a consultant pharmacist, and we had Daniel Baston from the Catapult Group. And both of them are very experienced of taking these clinical trials and working through them and setting them up in hospitals across the UK. So that was valuable for our group, which is a group of CRF type people, to benefit from their experience. So the benefit of having people like that is they've traveled the road many times, and by traveling that road many times, they have war stories. I don't want to be that negative about it, but they would have experiences that would be of value to all of us in terms of, what things work, what things don't work. And I guess my take from what they have to say is the idea of being transparent and presenting, the full cost of all sorts of things that are involved in this type of work. Top tip would be, if you're going down this road, start with a larger company and build experience with that first before you move on to more exotic things. Maybe work with another site. I think that's the most important thing, is to find a site that might be doing a trial and then learn from them and then do that trial yourself. So, for example, we in Dublin, we were the first site in Dublin to do a gene therapy trial for haemophilia. Never done one. No one had ever done one in Ireland before. But we flew our team to Southampton for a day or two to learn about how they were doing that particular trial. They were a bit further ahead than us. And we picked up on that knowledge, brought it back to Dublin, and then we successfully did that trial ourselves. Well, the benefits are, in our parent organisations, or when I go back to Dublin, I'm just, we're just a small organisation in our large teaching hospital. But you come to this organisation and you realise you're actually collectively a really big group. The major benefit is sharing best practice, and you can always call someone up in the network, and if you have a problem, you can be helped through. They've probably done it before, and they'll share their experiences with you. For me, I thought the Charlie Craddock plenary session yesterday morning was really, really very good, because what he showed was that individuals make a difference, and he, I guess through perseverance, got his network functioning to a pretty high level, and is now very productive in terms of clinical trials for his patients. So that was very inspiring to see, and he also got across the passion he has for, I guess, the work he does, but also the patients that he serves as well.